You're everything that is beautiful. You're everything that is love. You are the same light in any saint, any beautiful occasion. You are the same light as all of it. And just awaken that beautiful light. And then you will start to see spiritual gifts all over the place. You're all things that are good. You take all the best things and everything, and that's what you are.
Yes.
You're not a Christian, you're not a Buddhist, you're not a Hindu. You're all the good things that every tradition's ever brought
That's
forth.
right.
And none of the things that don't make you feel good are true. They're illusions. You're all good things that every tradition brings. Drop the walls.
Yeah.
Speak your truth. Find your authentic path, and your authentic path is love. You are the love. You are the joy. So be it. You don't need to buy it. You don't need to look for it. You are it. Just embody the truth. And then at that point, I can say, I am free. And when I said that to myself, I am free, it had a whole nother meaning. It meant, like, this state of being is who I am. And it costs nothing. It costs nothing, although we think we need money to buy a state of being. Like, we can't be happy unless I have this. Like, we're trying to buy our state of being and suffer. If we can talk ourselves into the state of being of the truth, embody that truth, that is when we're in the most fruitful situation. Because I knew in that moment, I've never been more fruitful. Welcome to Malani Meditation Podcast, everybody. I am your host, Malani, and today I am here with Sergio and Montana. How are y'all doing today?
I'm doing great. Really happy to be here with you guys.
I'm doing well. This is my first podcast, and I am really excited to be here.
Good. We're all excited that you are here today.
Yeah.
Very excited.
So as usual, I don't know what the topics are that we're going to be having because we like to stay authentic, and it makes it really pure and clean conversations when I don't know. And so it should be a good podcast today because usually when we get into these conversations, it gets the energy of it that comes through usually takes us to some deep topics. And I hope we can really get some good movement and some questions answered for you all. So if there are questions that you do have, just leave it in the comments, and we'll look at putting those towards the next podcast that we do, and we'll have them ask those questions later on. And would anybody like to start off with a topic?
Yeah, I have something I want to ask you about. So right before we started the podcast, we did a little mini heart breathing exercise. So maybe I was thinking you could talk about the heart.
Okay. So we are not talking about the heart, the physical heart. We are talking, or the heart chakra. We are talking about the spiritual heart. And the spiritual heart is probably it's not probably, it is our foundation. It is our connection to source, whatever you want to call the divine presence. And this is where we came in at, through spirit. This is where we came into the human body. You know, that's why when you look at a baby, you have that really open heart, that love, because the baby had just come in there and through the heart, and it's just full of love and joy and happiness, and that is the connection to the heart. So when we come into mind consciousness, we start to disconnect from that purity of what we are and who we are, and that connection of self-love. And it's important for us now to reconnect to that heart energy, especially at this time of our evolution. And because I do believe personally that we and Mother Earth is evolving in such a rapid pace and we are going into heart consciousness, and it's already here. Some people might call it Christ consciousness. It's important to connect to that right now in order to move along into this new timeline of Mother Earth. And I use a lot of examples to how we disconnect from that heart consciousness. So do you know that Japanese scientist that did all the experiments on the water?
Yeah, I know of him. I don't know his name though. I forgot his name, but I know of him.
Okay. Well, he did one. He did several. He did the ones on where he wrote words on little glasses of water, and then he froze it. So he'd write love and hate and all these words, and then they looked at it under a microscope, and on the love one they had all these really beautiful snowflakes, and on the hate one it was just really distorted and not pretty looking molecules in there, whatever. I'm not going to try to use the scientific terminology for it because that's not really my category. But he also did one on rice bowls. He had rice and water, and I know I believe it was 3. I could be wrong.
No, yeah, he did 3.
3?
Yeah,
Okay.
he
So
did 3.
he told one he hated it, one he loved it, and one was left alone. And we would think that the one that was told that they hated it, or the one that was in anger, would have been the worst one. But it was actually the one that was left alone. Obviously, the one that had love turned into like this beautiful sake. So that is essentially what's happened when we come into mind consciousness. We're leaving the heart alone, and it says, I'm here whenever you're ready to use me. Whenever you're ready to connect to your higher self, you're the one infinite creator. Whenever you're ready for the truth, it's here waiting. But you got to bring some awareness to me. You got to bring some attention to me. So I start doing these heart exercises just to bring attention to it, because we don't want to ignore it. And that attention that we do, we start bringing energy into it, and it starts to awaken it. And then we come into gamma energy. And so it is our connection. So that's what we did before we started. We touched our heart right here to activate it, or you can imagine yourself breathing into this area like it's the lungs itself. Like breathe in and then breathe out in 360 degrees. That's generally what we do. But when we breathe in for like 5 seconds, long breaths, and breathe out for like 5 seconds. And that says, that's the energy when we breathe slow, that we are safe. So that's kind of what the heart is. You're in a safe energy when you're in the heart. You're in love. You're in the frequencies of love and light. And so it'll get that going. If you can do that 3 minutes many times in a day, 3 minutes at a time, I generally at least like to go 5 minutes. But so that's what we do to start the podcast. We get into that energy and connect to that heart energy. And I do believe it is the key to moving forward into these higher timelines. And I say timelines, these higher frequencies. So that's what we did to start this out. And as we move along in these podcasts, we'll show a lot more heart exercises in order to get that heart activated and start to listen to the heart more than the mind, because really the heart is the king. But in mind consciousness, somewhere along the line, when we stopped listening to hear, the mind became the king, and the mind is like a tyrant. The body is afraid of the mind. You know, it's always saying that we're not good enough. We don't look good enough. It's got us in doubt. It doubts everything. It puts us in fear. It's always using fear scenarios. It's got us using our imagination to say what could go wrong versus the heart. You're okay. Everything's just right. Everything's just where we need it to be. Trust. Nobody wants to trust anybody. And if we started to trust, then we would actually go into a higher frequency. And we would open ourselves up to much more expansive versions of ourselves. But the whole ideal of trusting is to put us into a higher frequency, but nobody wants to trust, which holds us in a frequency of doubt. And then we match those energies of doubt. So we'll match those energies of fear and doubt. We'll attract those things that we should be afraid of, that that could be physically in our reality harmful to us. But if we trust that we're guided, if you trust that you're sitting here right now and you're sitting here right now in perfection, that we are all guided in this moment, the divine is guiding me always. Then there are no mistakes. That we're here in absolute perfection. If you believe the divine, and the divine is all perfect and it's with us nonstop, then you'll have everything to trust. And then when you start to trust, you'll start to find that better situations are attracting themselves to you. But yet we have to do that first. That's the step first.
Be in trust.
Be in trust.
Be in trust. Yeah.
So if you're watching this podcast, you didn't get put here for no reason. There's something that will come up in this podcast for you. Somewhere in it. There's going to be many subjects that get brought up. But trust that you ended up here for a reason. Trust that you're guided. Trust when you go to work that you're guided. Trust when you're taking a shower you're guided, because it's not something that comes and goes. The guidance is nonstop. The unconditional love it's an ever-flowing energy. There's no like, oh, I'll treat you well when you do something nice. No, it's called unconditional love. That means there's no break to it. And there's no disappointment in you. There's no getting mad at you. There's no punishments. It's called unconditional love because it's unconditional. And when you're in trust, you're right there in the heart. So the heart is so important. It is your foundation. It is what is going to build your house on a sturdy foundation instead of building it on sand.
That's beautiful about the heart.
And I love this. I love what we're talking about. This is one of the things that made me a believer, because I worked with Malani for a while before I really understood and started listening about the heart. It was kind of a concept for me, and it was kind of out there. And I remember this conversation, and it was Dr. Emoto, the experiments that he had done, and I was really fascinated by Dr. Emoto because even before, many years before, I was fascinated by snowflakes. I had this fascination with snowflakes, looking at them under a microscope, like each one has its own unique print. A snowflake, like there's so many snowflakes. They're all unique. Everyone's different, and they're all gorgeous. All these patterns, and it was something that I was so fascinated by. I got a piece of jewelry that was a snowflake, and when I saw the Emoto experiment and what Malani was telling me about, something clicked. I remember something clicked for me, and I knew that writing those words, those love words, different phrases and love and prayers and things like that on a bottle of water or the rice bowl, and looking under the microscope and seeing those patterns, how what's the word? They're like, it's you could just, the beauty in them. They weren't muddled. There were some of them that were muddled. I'm trying to think of a specific word, but it's not coming to me. But they're gorgeous. They're these beautiful, gorgeous, mystical patterns. And
like geometric patterns.
Geometric patterns.
Yeah.
And they're all beautiful and different. And I knew that writing that on my own body would make a big difference. I just knew that. Wow. And so Malani started working with me, talking about the heart, and so had me write those things on the heart. And it makes sense now. It didn't make a lot of sense at the time, but something did click for me. And so that's the whole reason why I started writing love on my heart. Wrote the word love or I would write a little phrase like, I'm proud of you. All day breathing, I learned all these different exercises. And so I would incorporate those throughout my day, and I did it playfully, not like just, and I realized too, you can't just be like, oh, you got to do it all the time. So I remember that whole period of time playing with it and just doing it all throughout the day. I was waitressing at the time. I would do it at work. I would do it infinity sign in my heart. And I just paid all this attention to this area. And what I noticed, and this was the biggest thing that I noticed, was that my energy wasn't so focused up here at the frontal cortex of my brain. It started localizing here in the heart. And I would feel and notice if I was talking to somebody out of my brain, out of my thinking brain, or out of my old ideas. We talk a lot about in our brains. And it's just a bunch of racket. We're just rehearsing. But the heart has new, fresh ideas. And I could tell the difference. I could tell the difference in myself. And as time has gone on, I have noticed how it's like I can feel that in other people. I can tell when they're in their heart or versus their mind, and it's that in itself is a miraculous discovery, if you ask me. Just that focal point, paying attention to the heart and doing these exercises, it's amazing. And I am not even tapping the surface on the experiences I've had by just that one thing, taking my attention and putting it here. And I'm not even doing anything other than that. It's the attention to that.
It's simple. It's very simple.
It's very simple. And so I would love for you to talk a little bit more about that, about putting the focus on the heart and what that does and how it unlocks our spiritual gifts, how it does everything. Because I'm a believer. I'm a believer now. I've been doing this for a while, and I know that was probably one of the times when I had the most willingness too. I would love for you to share about willingness, because it takes a lot of that, to get to that place. And, because I would love the viewers to understand what this heart does.
So I'll talk quite a bit about willingness, and I have been talking about that and perseverance and the heart. And it's all very important. The willingness is like we tend to give up too soon. We tend to, this is not working, let me jump to the next modality. Let me jump to the next channel because we did the heart thing for 3 days and I can't tell anything. It's not working. We give up. We always think that we should be further along by now. And we're not patient and allow things to open up. And that willingness to see something finally to the very end. Just keep going. We're on so many different subjects, and that's the mind. The mind will use spirituality to get in there. If that's what you're good at and that's what you are into, it'll use spirituality. It'll use whatever it can to disrupt the flow of, it's like when we start to do the heart work, the mind will feel like it's being choked. Like if you are being choked, you're going to try to stop somebody because it's looking to be in charge. And so it'll use whatever it can to hold it, to hold that place that is not doing a good job. Now, the mind is a good servant to the heart. It's an excellent servant, but you have to get them in coherence. Heart-mind coherence, not mind-heart coherence. Heart-mind coherence. Let the messages come in through the heart. Let it come into the heart. Everything should be moving through the heart. And all the other chakras, the third eye, and everything will come into balance through the heart. But we need the willingness to hold the practices up. And yes, I had her writing love on everything because any attention is attention. Any positive attention is beautiful. And if you put positive attention, even if it were just writing love, imagine yourself writing love on this space right here. That's going to do something. It's proven in the science of the experiments with the water. How could it not? How could it not work? The only way it wouldn't work is if we tell ourselves it doesn't work. Our perception is going to tell us if something doesn't work or it does work. But if we have the perception and we know that it works, because how could it not work? If we hold that perception, it's going to do miracles. It's going to work its miracles. So writing love, and also I had people just put in the infinity sign and put a little cursor moving, and just imagine a little cursor moving around in their heart, because it's just, you really got to focus in that area, and you're putting like your attention, you're moving it in that area, so it takes a focus. So that is focus. Just, oh wow, she, he, they are paying attention to me now. And it's like, what would happen if we took that rice bowl that was dying because we weren't paying attention to it and put the infinity sign in it? Now we're paying attention to it. And just like the negative bowl, there's a lot of people afraid of dark energies. There's a lot of people afraid of that. And I guarantee you, dark energies would rather you cursing them than ignoring them. Because any attention's attention.
Or even battling them.
Because it's attention. So they would rather, the negative energy would rather you paying attention to it and saying, I don't like this negative energy. I don't want to be in this negative energy. Well, you're paying attention to negative energy.
The screaming child in the grocery store is a perfect example.
That is a perfect example. The child wanting a chocolate bar. It's screaming and yelling, and it wants that chocolate bar. And if you give it that chocolate bar, it gets it. It used all the screaming and yelling to get it, and then when it finally gets it, it'll be quiet. But we're giving in to an energy.
Yeah.
It's like, let it choke itself out. Let the mind go through its panic. Let it say what it needs to say, and just stay in your heart. Just keep putting the positive energy into it. Always focus on that positive love thoughts and embodying the truth of who we are. It's not paying attention to something that's outside of us. It's paying attention to the truth. We are love. We are peace. We are confident. We are all these things. It's just about paying attention to the truth. Because everything else outside of that is actually illusions.
So I have some questions about the mind. So what in our culture is so mind heavy, and everything's focused on the mind, really. There's very little talk about the heart. So what do you say about when the mind starts to really focus on the negative, or has dark thoughts, or has, low vibrating thoughts that come through it in your awareness? Like, what can you talk a little bit about the mind when those things pop up? Because I know a lot of people go through that, and they get that, and it comes through their focus. So,
And the feelings that come along with it.
and the feelings that come along with it. Yeah, exactly.
So this is it. What happens when we're in those dark places, or we call them dark places, but actually the dark is light. There's nothing else but light. The darkness is what we tell ourselves. We call it darkness. We call it sadness. And we have names for everything, and it's actually light. Because that's all there is the divine. Everything is light and everything is love, and everything outside of that is illusion. And we put negative thoughts to things to make it feel bad. But really it's just light, and that we've labeled with our minds as darkness, as not good. If we can neutralize those energies and just understand, like, everything is light. But we can get to that later, coming to your questions. Your question, first of all, it doesn't matter if you don't recognize it, because you're not recognizing it. But the fact that you are recognizing that you're in these thoughts and you're in this negative energy, that's what you call awareness. So you have become aware of it. Right?
Yeah.
So that is a spark.
Yeah. Well,
So what are you going to do with the spark? Do you want to start a fire, or do you want to just give up on it? Most people just don't want to put the perseverance in it, or the willingness to turn their state of being. But if you caught it and you're thinking about it, I don't feel good, and I would rather move into something that feels better, then you caught awareness. You're in awareness. So now it's up to us to take that awareness and shift in the energy and pull forth the truth. So then the next step would be to say something like, I am ready and willing to move into better feeling frequencies. I am ready and willing. And that will actually make a flame. Now it's up to us to build a fire. I'm ready and willing, we'll make a flame. Now we got to feed the fire, right? We got to put smaller branches on it until it gets bigger and bigger. So maybe we can't get straight to I am love right now and fake it till we make it. So maybe we say like, I am moving into love, because that moves it forward. Not that I hope to move into love, or I wish to move into love. Nothing like that. I am moving into love. I am now moving into love. Or I love love. Who doesn't love love? Or I love joy. Who doesn't love joy?
Yeah.
If you just start saying, and this is something I was working with Montana for a long time that she likes to do. She likes to say, she recorded herself one time, and it was really beautiful. She's like, I love love. I love love. You remember that?
I love love. I love love. I love everybody. I love everything. When you just get on a roll with it. And I mean, you get into just such positive momentum with that. You start getting into that frequency. It's a really good, like what do you call it? Like
bridge.
A bridge. A bridge. Yeah.
So these are bridges, and like the twigs that we're laying down on the flame to build the flame.
Yeah.
So we're just building a fire here. And the key thing is you're never going to build that fire if you don't have the willingness to make it roaring bonfire. And yes, you can. Mm-hmm. Yes, you can. I don't care where you stand, because the truth is always and in all ways with you. It's not somewhere else. Yep. You are these things. So if you say, I love love, I love love, I love joy, I love joy, let that be the bridge that carries you into these bigger sticks. Now you're putting bigger sticks in there. Now you can start embodying it, the truth. By using your imagination, close your eyes. How do I look? How do I walk? How do I talk? How do I listen when I'm in joy? How do I enter a room when I'm in joy? What does it look like? You could take as far as you want with no limitations, and never let the mind say this is not realistic, because it's your imagination. Right now, I'm in a room. There's 4 walls. Right? There's 4 walls, and it's pretty evident that these were what the 4 walls are going to look like, because this is what has manifested. Now my mind is looking at them, and it's telling me I'm looking at the 4 walls, and this is what it is. Now, what happens when I close my eyes? It can be whatever I want it to be, and the mind doesn't know any different. So I take that imagination and I build what this room looks like. What does it feel like when I'm in joy? How do I speak now when I'm in open space and in light and in love? The mind doesn't know any difference. And now you are in a very fertile creation. Just follow that guidelines, and then by the end of it, you'll be saying, I am love. I am joy, and whatever follows I am is very powerful. Very powerful. It is your biggest creator. And you just build that bridge. But you need the willingness. You got to be willing to do it. You can't give up. And it's easier said than done, people would say. No, it's easier to do this than to live in a negative frequency. And it works every time. If you don't say it doesn't work. If you say it doesn't work, it will never work. You know, you are in charge of your universe. Whatever you're going to feed it is what it's going to eat. Whatever you are going to think about, it's what your universe breathes in. What every cell in your body is going to breathe in. If you want love in your universe, every cell gets to breathe it in.
It does. And the process of that, like, there is a process to it. And those first few humps, you know, just like starting out running a race, it gets a little hard in the beginning. It feels that way. I'd hate to say those words because we're not trying to use those kind of words. We want to use lighter. This is easy. It'd be better to say this is going to be easy. I can do this. We want to stay in that positive momentum as much as possible. But something I noticed throughout the length of my journey is like every time that I'm able to tap into those higher states, and like I tap into something higher of myself, it's like I part of me remembers that part of me that comes back in and remembers, and it becomes a new part, and it's like it starts this little motor that starts running, and it does seem like the more that I can just tap in every now and then. It just starts really sporadic at first, and then it becomes more and more, and the heart, I don't know how to say it, the heart remembers, and it's just like, or the body remembers, and you know, that's kind of like how the process goes. And the more that you can do it, the easier it becomes.
Right, it's like riding a bike, and I hate to use that cliche, but it is.
It is
the
like
more
riding a
that we
bike.
do the practices, but also the more we do the practices, the spiritual path demands more. It demands more awareness. It demands more to start being aware of all the little things, and you know, and we keep going. You know, the spiritual path, it's not all fluff. You know, there's going to be old patterns in there and old trapped emotions that we're looking to harmonize by doing these practices that we're talking about. This is one of many that we do here for what I teach or what I guide people into, whether they would like to do it or not.
Yeah, no, it's very powerful when you come up against kind of like those limitations in yourself and you start to recognize it, and then you harmonize it. Once you harmonize those like lower threads, you know, once you harmonize those lower threads, I noticed there's always a high state of being that comes right after that. So it might be a point where it's like really like you're coming up against a wall, and like you almost feel like you're not gonna get across it, and it's like really difficult and hard. But that moment when it harmonizes, it's like boom, you get to these really high states of being, and it's like ecstatic, and it's almost hard to even describe those states of being. But yeah, on this journey, it will happen where things will come up that haven't been harmonized. And we all have it. We've all been on this earth, and we've all, you know, accumulated some of these things. Yeah. And it will happen. But once it gets harmonized, it's such a beautiful thing. And I've seen it so many times. It's such a beautiful thing to do.
It's like that cowboy breaking the Mustang, wild Mustang.
Yeah.
I mean, the mind's so used to being in charge. And the mind consciousness, the world around you has matched those frequencies. And so it's not like we're going to just start matching everything perfect around us, the perfect scenarios. But although everything is perfect, because you're matching everything just right in order to evolve spiritually. So there's a message in everything. There is something in everything that you encounter to learn from. There's never a moment that you're not guided. So every moment there's gold in every moment. There's gold in suffering. There's gold in it. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but if everything is the one, how could everything not have a perfect moment? How couldn't everything not have a perfect moment? How could this moment not be perfect? How could it not? Everything is the one. And the only real energy of the universe is love. So believe in that every moment is an opportunity to shift these energies. And that is right. One of the most powerful things we can do, not only for ourselves, not only for the room we sit in, not only for our families, not only for our friends, but for the world, but for the universe. One person converting a negative energy into light in a single moment does more for the all, than anything that we can possibly do. It'd be like taking a pitch dark room and lighting a lighter in it. You couldn't see nothing, but that one flame does so much to a room. One being of somebody taking a dark energy and lighting it up is like that. It's worth gold for an entire room, because all of a sudden you can see that flame from everywhere in that room. And I rest assured, when you shift your energy into light, it is being recognized. There's a light. Look at that light. Everything, all your guides, all the spiritual beings that are watching this show from, we call afar, but it's watching it from all over. When you light it up, it's being recognized. Good job.
It touches everything.
It touches everything.
It touches everything. Yeah, I like to use this example because it happened to me once where I remember I walked into this restaurant. And I walked into the restaurant, and then all of a sudden I just felt like amazing. And I felt just like really awesome. And I was like, what? And then I knew that somebody had a really strong practice in that restaurant. I could just feel it. It like touched everything. And I was like, somebody in here has a extremely powerful meditation practice, because it permeated the whole room. And it was like all the negativity that was in the room was crushed by this one lady that had this beautiful practice. And I remember she walked out and I just smiled at her, and I knew it was her because she had this ambience. And she was just doing her work in the back and like minding her own business. But her state of being touched everything, and I could feel it. And it was like, wow, I really got to see what a high vibration does to everything, and a high state of being and a high practice does. And I got to feel it. And I was like, wow, this is amazing to just be able to feel that. And I was like, I was feeling all this bliss, just like walking in a restaurant. It was, so it's beautiful what it will do to everything.
Well, here's what's amazing. What's really amazing to me is that you have the ability to perceive that, and I mean, you have so many gifts, and like it's all coming from that inner work that you're doing. You've done so much work with Malani, so much inner work, and it's just like the gifts are coming through. Like that intuitive ability and stuff, you have that with so many different situations and so many things. And I think it's amazing. And I have so many things I want to talk about. Like there's so many amazing things. Because the gift that Malani carries is so phenomenal, and it's so far out. It's so far out there. Like we're sitting here as human beings at a table, but there is like something massively powerful in this man, and I've gotten to experience it. You've gotten to experience it.
Without a doubt.
It's marvelous. It's just, and being in person, we have such a gift of being in person with him, because you can just immediately feel that energy flowing through. It's divine energy. It really is divine energy that's moving through. And I got to have that experience when I very first met him. That was my very first encounter, and I could feel it coming through me like waves, and it was miraculous. And that's just, a long story. We won't go into that. But I do want to talk about vibration. I would love to talk about, because I know that you have incorporated a lot of your vibrations into your meditations, and what that does and how important it is to do the inner work along with it, like transmuting those emotions and like doing that daily heart work and all those exercises alongside the vibration, because that's what I've been taught by you. And so talking about the vibration, what it actually does, and also how it unlocks our spiritual gifts. It's unlocked so much for him. It's unlocked so much for me. And I mean, I've gotten to witness it. And so it's just, there's so many amazing things, but hopefully you can get like something out of what I just said and speak on it, so that people that watch your channel can understand when they're listening to a Malani meditation in this outer worldly vibration thing, because it's not something you hear all the time.
No, not
you
at
don't
all.
turn a meditation on YouTube and all of a sudden you hear all this stuff coming, vocal vibration coming through somebody. But there's something behind it. I can feel it. You can feel it. And the people that leave comments regularly on the channel, I can tell when someone feels it. I'm like, yeah, they know. So let's talk about it.
So, yeah, let's talk about vibration, because everything is made of it. It's made up of frequency and vibration. That's what the universe is made of. Our bodies are made of it. This table's made of it. This microphone, everything's made of it. There's vibrations that have forgotten the light, that are a part of us. There are these trapped vibrations in there that we keep paying attention to, and we keep reinforcing those negative vibrations and hold them inside of us. It's not like they're the enemy, because they are us. They are us. That's just ready to turn into the light. It's just energy that's ready to come back to the table and sit at the light with us. That's what the vibrations are for. So a very powerful thing that we can do is, when we have the positive intention and then we put our own voice to it, our own vibration, positive intention plus vibration is very powerful healers, because it'll start to bring in the frequency of that intention, and we're literally making sound to it. We're humming to it, and the humming has a lot of benefits to it for the physical body, the vagus nerve, and it brings a sense of peace. And there's a lot of science to it. You can look that up. I'm not going to pull up all the science to it. I know what it does spiritually, because I've been receiving this frequency, and I started making this sound, this vibrational sound, quite a while ago. And I went through a whole transformation through it. As when I started making it, I didn't know really what it was, but I started to make it, and I watched myself transform, and the body changed. Everything changed in this vibration. So I was transmuting these denser energies into light, and I went through this whole process, and I wasn't really sure what was happening, but I knew it was good, and I knew that the vibration was being given to me, because it was really powerful, and it would really kind of just max me out every time and hold me just to where I couldn't take anymore. And each time I'd level up a little more, and it's like it had to make room in my body. It had to make room for more vibration and more light. And as I kept doing it every day, and I'm the kind of person that just really gives everything into it, and so I just trusted it, and I just went for it. Sergio starts to sit with me, and then I got to watch him start to make the transformation with this vibration. And so he started doing the whole purging, and that means crying. That means it's like you want to vomit, but it's like energy. It's just like an energy purge,
It's an energy purge, yeah. And I mean, when you started it, you're like, I don't know what this is, but it's changing me. It's like, you're like, it's changing my DNA. It's changing my cells. It's changing my frequency. So I was like, all right, we're going to go with it. And I literally went for I think like 3 months straight where it would go down there and I would purge, energetic purge. I would cry, I would primal scream, all these things that I never expressed. I just was able to express it and release it. And every time that every time that I had something that was like a really dense energy and I harmonized it through the vibration, me and Malani would hit these really high states of being that were unexplainable. Like I cannot explain it into words. It was from another reality, from another world, and it would happen a lot. Like almost after every meditation, we would hit these super high states of being, and it was unexplainable. It really was unexplainable. But the beautiful thing is when you harmonize those energies and you release whatever that was, that thread that you were holding on to, it's like a liberation, and it's really beautiful. And it does take perseverance, though. It does take perseverance and a willingness.
So what would happen? Obviously, those older energies are going to start to speak. What I like to say, they're going to start to speak as they come out because we're kind of rattling them a little bit. So they're going to be felt. It's more likely than not they're going to be felt. They don't have to be felt if you come into some self-mastery, because really it's just light. And the thing is, the less we can personalize the energy, the faster it will come into the light. The less we start saying, like, say if I'm feeling the sadness come up, the less I can identify and saying I am this sadness, or I am feeling this sadness, the less we can do that, the faster it's going to come into the light, and more like kind of watching it like steam coming up, and it's just something that's coming up. It's not something to identify with, because you are not these energies as they are. You are those energies as light. So to re-identify them as the truth and just saying, oh, this is happening now, and watch it like clouds moving through the sky, and just allow it to move. And the more we can neutralize it, the better off we are. And to remember this conversation here, because when they're coming up,
Remember.
we don't remember, like, oh, we are doing this this energetic vibrational kind of shifting going on here. And because it's so easy to start to feel something and go, I am this, because we've been literally doing that our whole life. Yeah. We can sit in a chair after somebody and pick up their vibration, and then all of a sudden we identify it and we say it's ours. And then it becomes ours. And that's facts. And we keep, anytime these energies want to come up, then we say, oh, I feel this. Oh, we're going to hold it now. So we just got to allow it to release. And the energy is, like Montana was saying earlier, is one of the things that I've been given is this vibration. And it's a very pure, clean, beautiful, it comes from a really beautiful place. And it's not always the same place. It just depends. It's always from love and light. It's always from love and light. But it seems many times the vibration has a different intention. Like maybe it's for purifying, maybe it's for harmonizing, whatever it is for, or for the specific person that I'm sitting across from. It'll have its own guidance for them. And so that is what the vibration is. And usually when I do it in a group, I ask for what's spiritually best for the whole, whoever's watching this. And it's all intelligent. So I can make a vibration, and there can be 100 people watching it, and all 100 people can have a different reaction to it, because it's not like the divine is limited to one thing. It literally, it's infinite amounts of avenues you can get from the same subject, so... Did I answer your question in there somewhere?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. I liked what you were talking about the old energies. When the old energies come up, that's really important, I think, for people to know, because yes, the vibration, it shakes things up and things come to the surface. And you already also said there's breakthroughs beyond that That's where the breakthroughs are.
Yeah.
Staying with it, you know.
And they're massive. The breakthroughs are massive.
Yeah, but don't get me wrong. I've had plenty of times when I've experienced the same thing over and over and over. You know, you feel like you're beating your head against the wall. But it does, and it's like the feelings, when those feelings start coming up, and I think a really great way to talk about the non-identification with it is it's the stories, because it does every single time that an energy comes. It feels strong and it feels really, really uncomfortable. It's this uncomfortable feeling that doesn't feel good, but the feeling, it comes with the field of energy. The field of energy, it's like the story, they just start circulating. I love, someone told me one time, they said a bird can circle around your head, but don't let it lay a nest. You know, don't let it nest in there. Yeah. And so it's like keeping it from, just letting it lay its little nest. And it's like this non-identification. And I'll just be a little bit vulnerable here, because when I first sat down in this chair, I don't like video cameras, and I don't like microphones, and I don't, there's so many things that I have a judgment about. In past times when I look at myself on video, I'll be like, oh, and so I have my body, the feeling, it's telling me all of that stuff,
Yeah.
It's telling me all that stuff. But, being here and being with Malani and being here with you and talking about these things, there's a bigger importance, there's a higher power in here that demands attention. It's not about me. It's not about my little worries and Montana's little small self, or about how she's going to look on camera later. There's something bigger here. And so I was able to overcome that through my breath and just allowing it to be there without letting any of the stories become me, who I am.
I think it's really important not to attach to the feelings, especially when the feelings come up, is not to attach to it, not to say that it's yours. It's it kind of like you separate from it, and then it has room to harmonize. As well with thoughts as well, where a lot of people get hung up on thoughts as well. Thoughts are the same. When the thoughts come up in your mind, they're just thoughts.
Yeah.
They're not real. And if you really think about it, 99.9% of what you think is not real anyways. Yeah. It's all BS. So if you can do that with your thoughts as well, then there's this certain level of liberation that you get from it. That is really like a beautiful liberation. And the feelings as well, the thoughts and the feelings, if you can detach, it's a beautiful state of being.
Yeah.
It's a really beautiful state of being. So.
And that reminds me of something else Malani said one time. He said what God is to him, and that is your highest thought. So I would love to hear some about that.
Yeah, because we get trapped on these walls. These are all our temples that we all pray to. And God to me is my highest thought about myself, mostly because self-love. And I know the best way for me to honor God is through myself, because we're all the one. And if I can love myself, then I'm loving God. I'm loving the divine. I'm loving the one infinite creator. I'm loving it all. And so to me, in order to love myself, is to have the highest thought of myself. The highest thought available, because you're not going to reach the highest thought in the physical body. And even inside, there is no highest, because it's infinite. There's no point B. And that is another point, is to slow down. Give ourselves a break. Slow down, because this is eternal. This is infinite. We don't have to get it all done in a short amount of time. It's give yourself a break. Slow down. That's what the heart is about. The heart slows you down. And I've experienced this in so many ways, of just when I'm in the heart, everything slows down. When you're in the mind, it's loud and busy. You always know somebody in the mind because they're talking a lot and it's loud. So that highest thought is to love yourself. To self-love is so important. And I promise you, if you're finding the highest thought about yourself available, then you're going to get into that self-love energy, and then you're going to experience what we call the divine, God, the universe, the loving light of the truth of who we are. And that is my definition of God. Finding the highest thought about ourselves, and give yourself a break if you get caught in the mind trap, because this is not supposed to be done in this one podcast. You're not supposed to watch this podcast and all of a sudden have it all figured out. We keep reminding ourselves. The best we can until we can reprogram ourselves to find the highest thought. And it works the other way. If we're talking negative about ourselves, we're saying it to the all. We're putting out the frequency to the room. And we're making our universe inside of us digest that negative energy. Every cell. That's how we get sick. That's why we're full of anxiety. Because every cell says, we're getting the message, I don't feel good about myself. I'm ugly, or I'm not good enough.
Yeah, it hears you.
Yeah, it hears you, and it responds accordingly. Your universe responds to it. So be in the heart, slow it down. What are we in such a hurry for? Life is eternal. It's infinite. Slow down. Enjoy the moment. I recently had an experience where I was walking around this pond, and I was looking to transmute energies and play with transmuting energies. So I just was having this experience of trying to observe something. And so I was walking around this pond, and I was observing fear. I was observing what is a common fear that most people feel at some sort, and it was money. And the fear of money is so embedded into everything. Even people that have it are trying to hold it. The poor are desperate for it, and the middle class were just trying to get enough to go by every day just to make it. And that fear of that money, it just consumes us. And I didn't realize how threaded it was into everything until something happened where I was clicking into basically say money doesn't exist. And all of a sudden it just happened for me. I went into this frequency where I knew money existed in the world, and of course it did. It's there. But for some reason I wasn't connecting to money anymore. And it's like it didn't exist. I didn't imagine myself with a lot of it or not very much of it. It's just all of a sudden in my reality was gone. And that thread of money, it's like it pulled all this fear of all these different kinds of fear out of me. And I was in a state of absolute freedom. And I immediately walked differently. I slowed down. I had a place to be, to meet somebody. And that point B no longer existed. Not in carelessness, but in the fear of having to be there at a certain time. I was okay. Everything was perfect. I looked at the ducks and swans and geese that were around the pond, totally different. The ripples on the water became more apparent. The breeze and the sun that touched my skin was so warm and loving and hugging. Everything slowed down, and I felt this state of freedom. And then at that point, I can say, I am free. And when I said that to myself, I am free, it had a whole nother meaning. It meant, this state of being is who I am. And it costs nothing. It costs nothing, although we think we need money to buy a state of being. We can't be happy unless I have this. We're trying to buy our state of being and suffer. If we can talk ourselves into the state of being of the truth, embody that truth, that is when we're in the most fruitful situation. Because I knew in that moment, I've never been more fruitful. I could have, and it's not like I even wanted to manifest some kind of money situation, because everything was fruitful in that moment. And all I knew is I just had to hang out in this fruitful frequency. Just hang out there, and my whole life becomes fruitful in every aspect of my life. And the subject of money is so limited. And just to allow myself to be in a fruitful situation and just soak in this vibration of this reality. It was outstanding, and it is outstanding, and it's about embodiment instead of managing our way into it. And if we embody the frequency of fruitfulness, or if abundance, and abundance is the overall frequency of abundance of all things wonderful. Those high thoughts that I'm saying that I define as God, that I define as the divine. That is the abundance of who we are. That is what I call God.
That's beautiful.
And my favorite part is when you say, I cost nothing.
I cost nothing.
I cost nothing. And when you're free indeed. Everything is free. You get into the frequency of what you want, and it comes to you. But what you're saying is it didn't matter because you already had it.
It didn't matter because I already had it, and I realized when the frequency of money was not consuming me, and I realized I could get anything in this frequency. And then I was like, what would I get? And I said, I wouldn't want anything. I wouldn't want anything in particular. I stopped wanting anything. It's because I didn't need to buy anything to be what I'm feeling. So nothing was necessary to buy because I was it. Everything was happening in this moment. And I didn't need to buy anything. And that's why I realized that I was buying things in the first place, because in some shape or form, it's going to make my life easier. But it couldn't get any easier than this moment. It couldn't get any more love in this moment. It couldn't be any more than when there could be, because I haven't touched all realities. But I'm just saying, in this moment, this is what it felt like, you know?
Well, it's interesting that it was the state of being that you were in. You felt like you had it all. You didn't need any of that stuff. So it's like almost like a I wouldn't say it's a catch-22, but it's like when you're in that state of being, you're just in it, and you know you have it all in that state of being. You don't need anything.
Well, if you think about it, this is what everything that we do, we're working to achieve a state of being, right?
Yeah.
Like everything that we do, we're like go to work to find security, to pay the bills, so that we can feel comfortable, so we can feel safe. That's the state of being, feeling safe. If you breathe into the heart, like we talked about earlier, that's going to bring the frequency of safeness. And if you bring in the frequency of safeness, then you're in the frequency of safeness. Now, if you keep embodying safeness, you're moving your whole reality to safeness. And then you don't have to look for safeness. You don't have to buy safeness. You don't have to. It's free. It's free. Embody it first. Instead of trying to buy it. Instead of trying to earn it. We're always trying to earn a state of being. And that's what it's about. It's embodying the truth. Let us be guided into it.
We've got a lot of undoing to do first.
Well, I just got some major deja vu, so it's interesting on that whole talk. So, it's getting a little trippy in here, the state of being.
This often happens. We do group meditations, and I lead these group, and they're not just meditations, but I lead these things. And as it keeps going and we keep doing these practices in the group, the frequency rises further and further and further up, and so many times the room is just broken out into pure joy, like liquid gold, and everybody's just laughing for. It's just because they are the joy. We're not laughing at anything like particular. Everybody's just experienced the frequency of joy, and it's one of the most healing frequencies that a person can feel, right?
For sure, yeah. Joy is like the biggest healer out there. It's even more than compassion. Joy is like a huge healer. And I've witnessed it where the heaven realm comes into the room, and it's like unexplainable, that state of being when it hits everybody. But there's so much coherence, and there's so much joy, and there's so much love that it's just, everything just gets uplifted. And it's beautiful to witness that. Like, I've gotten to witness that, and it's just like, it's unexplainable, really. But it's really beautiful when you see that.
It's nice. It's nice when everything comes into coherence.
So we haven't really had a lot of questions, and that's generally what happens is we just pick a subject and we just start talking about whatever is going on, and one thing adds to itself. But if anybody has any questions, we still have a little more time, I believe. So
well, I really would love to talk about how accessing and awakening, which is what it is. I like the word awakening because we're waking it up. Like, hey, go to wake up, But it's like awakening the spiritual heart and how that unlocks your spiritual gifts, because I can feel in myself that it's not fully untapped or anything, but there's a lot of things that have been coming through, beautiful, marvelous things, and things that I didn't even know that I had inside of me at all. And I've gotten to see Sergio too. He's like becoming a medium over here. It's wild. It really is.
I wouldn't say I'm not a medium, but
he's.
How do you say it?
He's not giving himself the credit still.
Okay, well, I'm not a medium, but what I can feel is I feel frequencies from the other side. And last night, Montana was talking about she had an experience with her grandmother, and when she started to talk about her experience, I felt her grandmother come through. All my hair stands up on end, and I was like, "Your grandmother's here right now."
Yeah.
And there was this lovely experience that we were able to experience, and she came through, and you felt that.
I felt it.
And you felt that.
I felt it. I felt it, and I immediately began sobbing, like just so much, because I knew you felt it. I knew you felt it. I felt her, and I felt her in the room, and it was just validated. It's amazing. It's an amazing.
Yeah,
gift.
and it's like it's not like I feel. It's like I feel the frequency of them.
Yeah.
And I can feel it. It's like a feeling. I get this feeling of it. And all the work that I've done with Malani, the best way I can describe Malani really is like he's like a Rolodex for the divine.
Rolodex.
Yeah, he's like a Rolodex for the divine. And when he's sitting in front of somebody, it could be anybody could show up from the divine. It could be any deceased person. It could be deity. It can be it could be any of these high beings, Jesus Christ, the Baba G. It could be anything. And I've seen it so many times at this point.
Yeah, who's coming through?
And it's just like, it can be, he's like a Rolodex for the divine. And all the work that I've done with him, and especially all his hard work, I'm becoming more sensitive to that as well. And it's beautiful. It really is a beautiful thing.
Yeah,
So.
yeah it is. It's really good.
Great, I'm a Rolodex.
That's old-timey, man.
I mean, I don't know how else to describe it. I really don't know, but that's the best way I can describe it. What's a Rolodex?
Little thing you flip on?
Yeah, with all the numbers on it? Yeah.
On the numbers? Is that your phone? Anyways.
It tells us you're our age. It tells you our age.
For the younger generation, should we say contacts? Open up your contacts on the other side? That's what we call it.
So, anyways, about spiritual gifts. So, everybody has spiritual gifts. We all have the same infinite amount, period. So whatever you think your spiritual gifts are, you're only scratching the surface. Just let it go what you think they are, because what I've realized as I moved through this purification with this vibration and stuff many years ago, I thought I was this. The personality gets to start labeling things about myself. And everything the personality labels something about me, it's always been, that's not it. You are more. You are so much more. And then every time I would let the personality stop labeling what it is that is being done through me, there's so much more. So if you're calling yourself a healer right now, you're more. That is very limited. And you, as the personality, are labeling yourself. And the best way to allow these spiritual gifts to awaken is to let go and ask for what's spiritually best, because it opens all the doors. And you're so much more than a healer. You're so much more than a single version of what you call yourself, whether you're working with crystals, whether you're working with vibration, whether you're working with tarot cards, or whether you're just in the medical field wanting to help people. Everybody wants to help people. But the best way to actually open up your gifts is to purify all the things that we tell ourselves, all the non-truths, and start to embody the truth inside of ourselves. Then it will start to free up those blockages. And when you free up those blockages, you'll start to realize, well, I was way more than I was telling myself. But when we get caught up on a single subject of what we're labeling ourselves, then you're only really pushing everything to one door instead of opening up all the doors. And as I opened up all the doors for myself, I realized I became a Rolodex. And then everything is available. And I was more. And then I went and one time and talked to a psychic lady, and I was just like, all these things are happening around me, and all these crazy things that were happening with people, and we have so many miracle stories that we can sit here and tell, but we would have to have many podcasts of how many that have been happening. Because what would happen is everything was happening. Like, I didn't know what I was. I didn't know if I was a vibrational healer, a medium. I didn't know if I was what I was, because all these different things were happening. So I asked the psychic, and she's a really good one, and I asked her, what am I? What am I? Am I a healer? Am I a psychic or a medium? Am I just a strong intuitive? I'm being guided when I speak. Everything's just being done in all these different avenues. And she says, she checked in and she said, you're all of it.
Oh.
And all of it. And all of it, from you dropping all these perspectives, they open up more. And that's true about you, and that's true about you, and that's true about you. You're all of it. Oh. You're not limited to spiritual gifts that you think that you're limited to. You have it all available to you. Just do the inner purification first. Don't focus on a third eye. Don't focus on one particular subject. Your third eye, awakening your third eye will do something, and this is exciting. But if you get into the heart consciousness, if you get into that spiritual heart, you're going to find that there's way more there than anything you can do, because that's going to bring you into balance, and that's going to start removing those veils and making that connection to the truth. And then your third eye will naturally do what it needs to do. because you are opening up the truth. And when you bring in the truth, it'll know when to go to the third eye and start putting energy in it. It'll know when it wants to go into the root and start doing energy. It will know where to bring the energy through. Just get out of the way and start doing the self-healing. And then when you really put an effort into self-healing and the perseverance and the willingness into the self, and stop focusing so much on healing everybody else when we haven't done it for ourselves. And start really giving yourself the motivation and challenge yourself to overcome these denser energies. You're going to open up more gifts in yourself than you ever knew that were available. Wow. To call yourself a healer is limited. To call yourself as anything is very limited. To call yourself a motivational speaker is limited. You're everything. You're everything. You're everything that is beautiful. You're everything that is love. You are the same light in any saint, any beautiful occasion. You are the same light as all of it. And just awaken that beautiful light. And then you will start to see spiritual gifts all over the place. And you'll feel like you don't even know what you are. But it is sure fun to play with all this stuff. So all I do is just play with what I'm being given. I'm just sitting here playing. And is everything I'm saying the truth? I don't know. This is where I'm at now. And I'm sure more gifts are going to open, and I realize I didn't know what I was talking about at all in this podcast. But for now, this is the truth for me. And it's a good feeling, beautiful reality to live in. It's a good feeling, beautiful reality to speak from because it's being done. It's moving through me and it's beautiful and it's available to all of us.
That's really nice.
That's good news, isn't it?
Really nice.
And that's the truth.
Gosh.
That's beautiful. Wow.
There's a hymn back when I was in church back in the day. They would sing in the Methodist church I grew up in, and it was all things bright and beautiful. The Lord God made them all. All things bright and beautiful. That's what we are. All things bright and beautiful.
That's beautiful.
All things wise and wonderful. All the things. All the things. You're all the things.
All of them. You're
things.
all the traditions. You're all the gods. You're all the religions. You're all things that are good. You take all the best things and everything, and that's what you are.
Yes.
You're not a Christian. You're not a Buddhist. You're not a Hindu. You're all the good things that every tradition's ever brought
That's
forth.
right.
And none of the things that don't make you feel good are true. They're illusions. You're all good things that every tradition brings. Drop the walls.
Yeah.
Speak your truth. Find your authentic path, and your authentic path is love. You are the love. You are the joy. So be it. You don't need to buy it. You don't need to look for it. You are it. Just embody the truth.
Wow.
Yep. All right. All right, so signing off.
Well, maybe talk a little bit about what you're working on right now. The 45 days.
Yeah.
So what I have going on is a 45-day retreat, but we're not going to start it till January 1st. We want to get the kinks out and do a test trial on it, and we're going to include all the beautiful things gifts that I've been given, that I've been having people play with as one-on-ones and stuff. Like the heart breath and the vibration and the humming. And then we're going to do all kinds of things. We're going to talk about how to put light in through food. There's live foods that have light into it, and there's dense foods that are dead. And we're going to talk about how recipes and everything that we can do with that. And Montana has, she works with a lot of herbals, and she's going to help us figure out concoctions to put inside of us, and I'll let her talk about that in a little bit. And Sergio's going to do a few exercises, and there's going to be just a lot of beautiful programs to help us shift in these 45 days. until then, I have a website, MalaniMeditation.com, if you would like to sit with me one-on-one. And we're just building this right now from the ground up. I've always been kind of in a hiding situation and meditating in my basement and stuff forever. But I know that it's time that I'm being called to put my face on the screen and getting these things shared out. And I'm glad I'm doing it. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be in front of showing my face finally and doing these things and playing. That's what we're doing, right? We're playing.
Yeah, we're playing.
You're playing with your herbals. You're playing with your yoga and trying to incorporate new things to that, like with the humming and all this different kinds of stuff. So
Yeah.
we're playing and we're having fun, and it's going to help us shift realities, and it will. You might not be completely in the state of heaven after only 45 days of lifetimes of stuff, but you're going to feel better. And if you put the perseverance in it and you put the willingness in it, and we do the things that we're playing with, there's no way that you won't feel better.
I think it's a really great opportunity because, people already have access to these meditations, and the vibration, listening to that. This 45 days is going to be an immersive experience. It's like going to another country and immersing yourself in the language of that country. You can learn in the books all you want to how to speak French, but you got to go to France. And that's what it's like. Going to this 45-day retreat is going to be like going to France. But it's this Malani vibration that is going to awaken these things inside of us. And then you've got me, you've got Sergio, you've got Malani and Louisa, and we're all going to help each other have fun and walk each other through it. And it's through the herbals, through the food. That's going to be my part of that. And I love food. I love it. I love it. I love it.
She's an amazing cook, by the way.
I love it so
I love
much.
her food.
And, light foods. So I'm going to show some recipes. And actually, Malani's a really good cook, too.
Yeah,
So we'll
Malani
get
as
on there
well.
together.
Yeah.
We'll have some fun, showing you guys some really good, light food recipes. And I'll talk about teas and herbals and how you can incorporate herbs in your food, your everyday, foods. Sergio, I actually got a chance to work with him a little bit before we got here, and I nearly had a somatic release in 5 minutes working with Sergio and doing some of these yoga exercises. And there's actually exercises before the yoga that I didn't even know about.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna play around with the yoga and some qigong exercises, and it's gonna be about harmonizing the body and energetic harmonization as well. And I'm working on all that stuff right now, and it's really beautiful. But I think the most beautiful thing about this whole experience that we're going to have, the 45 days, is going to be the community.
Yeah.
Really being with like-minded people, being with people that are willing to do the work and persevere and be vulnerable. And that's going to be really the heart of all this.
Yeah.
And for me, community is everything. Yeah. And when you're in a community of like-minded people that are working on themselves and really going deep in themselves, there's just something that builds from that, and everybody benefits from it.
Yeah.
And I think that's really going to be the heart of it. I feel that. So.
And I just want to say, you talked about the community and some of the emotional stuff, but it's like, what I love about this group, really and truly, sometimes people talk about how emotions are welcome here, like everybody's That's a freaking gross understatement, really, when it comes to this group right here, because emotion is so okay. In Malani's groups, just in being around Malani, and you can feel that, and you can feel the okayness. And so everything's allowed. Everything's accepted. Everything's allowed. Everybody's stuff. I've seen Sergio's stuff. He's seen my stuff. We've all seen each other's things come up.
We've all seen each other vulnerable.
Yeah.
And normalizing emotion is what this community is about. Mm-hmm. And not suppressing emotion, because when emotion's coming up, it's being released to be harmonized. it's not being released to be ashamed of it. In order for it to be harmonized, we need to stop identifying and being afraid of it to come forth and sit at the table with our light, with our joy, with our love. And it's about normalizing emotion so we can be freed. And if we're afraid to show emotion, then it never gets to free itself. We stuff it in the attic with fear and doubt. So this is about our community is normalizing emotion so we can free ourselves from the density and bring ourselves into the light. That's what this community is about. And I often say, tough is when we're protecting ourselves. Like when somebody says I'm tough or calls somebody tough, you're protecting yourself. It's not strength. Strength is being vulnerable, being brave to stand up in front of people and allow yourself to heal in front of people. Being vulnerable is what this group's about. We encourage everybody to be vulnerable because in the state of vulnerability is the most prime time to heal. It's the prime time to heal, not 5 minutes after we are vulnerable. In the moment of vulnerability is the prime time, and that's what this is about. Is get the proper medicines in the vibrational medicines into the vulnerability as it's happening and not run from it anymore. That's what this retreat's about. It's an online retreat first, and then we're going to have our physical retreats. But we are building this, and we are having fun, and we're playing right now. So just come play with us. And I think that's a good way to close this podcast for today. So thank you. Namaste.
Very good.
Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you, everybody, for showing up today. If today's podcast touched your heart or helped you out in any way, please like and subscribe and share the light. You can explore more at MalaniMeditation.com. Thank you. Namaste.